So we're getting to the final stages of doing this door. Getting kind of exciting now. There is one or two things I did want to mention. I'm not a professional, so I'm just doing this as we go along. One thing I wanted to tell you is if you're going to do body filling, these spreaders, they're okay, but these are better. You'll have these all your life because they're spring steel, they're hardened steel, so they're very easy to clean up and they've got always a nice sharp edge. And they come in a packet of different sizes. They are expensive, well, sort of expensive. They're like 3 times the cost of these plastic ones, but believe me, you'll have them for forever and a day, as long as you clean them up with a bit of acetone once you've finished. So that's a good tip, because you see, when you're spreading Bondo with these plastic ones, like it's very important to keep a nice sharp edge, and these can be a bit wavy, where they're really nice and sharp. So that's one thing. I've taken the masking off, and I'm going to replace the masking here. Some people ask me, why do I do that? You know, once I've put a coat of paint and Bondo on. It can get dust underneath it. We put that masking on just to protect the rest of the paint underneath so it doesn't get overspray. But it can also get, when we wet flatted this down, water can get underneath it. And when you're spraying, the last thing you want is water to blow up onto your nice paint job, so you don't want that. The next thing I'm going to do, before we do any painting, I'm going to get some compound. This is Presta Ultra Cutting Cream. And I'm going to compound this corner because I'm going to blend into here. So I want all dirt and debris and any little production scratches out of there. So that's the next thing. Once I'm happy with that, I'm going to give it a rub over with a microfiber cloth. Now, I get these from club price, and they're, they're not professional ones, but they're cheap and easy. But it's easier than washing it down or using solvents to get any dirt and grease off. But if you do use these, take off this flipping label, because that label can scratch more than it actually puts back on. And if you're doing your towels, fold them and use them like that. Believe me, you will get more life out of them than scrunching them up. I do sometimes when I've got an old one that's a bit dirty, I'm not too bothered. But when you're doing nice finished jobs, you'll pull it off and there's no dust. Now, talking of dust, I actually wet sanded this down yesterday and I've left it. I found out by trial and error that if you have to do any dry sanding, for example, there was a little bit of dry sanding I had to do on here, and then you blow it off with an air gun, the dust will hang in the air for ages and ages and ages, and it will eventually drop on your finish. So it's a good idea, blow off the job that you're doing. If you need to blow the job off, leave it for 3 or 4 hours and then come back to it, because I'm only thinking of you guys who work in poor environments like I have, which isn't a spray shop, but you can, with a bit of patience, make a really good job using very minimal equipment like I'm showing you here. So I'm going to now mask off this. I'm going to cut this in, mask off, and then I'm going to get my paint gun, and I'm going to surprise you with which paint gun that I'm going to use. The next trick, once it's all nicely cleaned up and cut in, we're going to use a piece of tape, and we're going to do what's called soft touching. Fold it in half, see, like that. Hold it right tight into the corner where you want to be, and then just lightly touch it down. Alright? And then fold this back. You want this to be really tight into the corner if possible. If not, if you get it to go on this side a little bit, what you're going to do is you're going to get your taper and push it like that. Alright. Now I'm exposed a little bit there, so I'm going to put a bit of tape on. Always nice to have a workshop where you can walk around the piece that you're going to do. That's why I prefer to take the door off to paint it. Alright, now, why did I do it like that? Well, there is a simple reason. You've seen many a time guys who paint cars and they get some masking and they're going to do a body repair and they'll just stick the paint down here, the tape down, and then they'll paint it, and when they take it off you've got a straight edge there and it looks awful. But if you fold over the tape like this, you get a rounder edge and it's easier to blend in. So that's why we do it like that. It's a bit of a cheat, but it really works. And then again we go underneath and replace all our tape under there. So I'm going to tape that off and then I'll get round to paint it. So this is the gun I'm going to be using. It's just a cheap and cheerful one I got off Amazon for about $30. It's a high volume, low pressure gun. It works very, very well because you don't need to mix a great lot of paint up, you see. And of course it's gravity fed. It's easy to use, it's got a nice balance. And these are really popular, you know, just for doing little touch-ups and things like this. But you can paint whole panels with them, it's quite easy. So, what else did I want to tell you before I put paint on, before I put my mask on? Gloves. Now, normally I don't wear gloves, but in this instance, I wear gloves when doing paint because the urethane's really tricky to get off. So, let me put my mask on. It's only a little cheapy mask, but as soon as I finish this video, I'm out of here. Because urethane is not nice stuff. Alright, so here we go. We'll give it a final dust. Try not to get caught in the tape. Yeah, line. Wipe the airline down, because that's been on the floor. As you can see there, look, give the airline a wipe. There we go. By gum, that worked out well because the paint gun's empty. It was a little bit thick, the paint, but I'm not worried because I'm going to flatten polish this down. There is a bit of fume in here, so I'm going to dissipate very quickly because this is isocyanate and it's not nice stuff. So mask on, clean the gun out and we're done.